Bershus the Rabbanim that are present, Bershus the hundreds and thousands that are watching this from around the world. Good evening and greetings from Chicago. Thank you to Agudas Yisrael of America for having the convention, and thank you to Agudas Yisrael of America for including us in the convention. The name of tonight's session is Behind Closed Doors, a Rabbi's Perspective. Most years, this title would be accurate. But this year, the secret is out. Every single one of us are struggling. Arguably, since the time of the Mabul, there has not been a calamity as widespread as what we're facing right now. And in two ways, what we have is worse. First of all, the Mabul did not touch Eretz Yisrael, and this did affect Eretz Yisrael. And no pun intended, the Mabul, we had a promise there would never be a second wave. And unfortunately, we're facing a severe second wave. We all need chizuk. And Be'ez Hashem tonight, we're going to share chizuk in the area of communal life, in the area of family life, in the area of chinuch habanim. It's my schus to ask Harav Henich Plotnik Shlita, Magid Shir Mor HaTorah, a dedicated and loving Rebbe to all his Talmidim. I could say I know firsthand, my son is his current Talmud in his class right now, and a renowned writer and speaker to open up the evening.
Good evening. I've been given the opportunity to offer some words of chizuk and guidance to parents as it pertains to their relationship with their teenage children, especially in the unique period that we're living in right now. Since this session was advertised as Chicago's contribution to the Aguda Convention, allow me to open with a bracha and words of chizuk that were given to an icon of Chicago Chinuch, Mrs. Sarah Murik, Alea Hashalom, who left us this past year. After Mrs. Murik had undergone a series of tests concerning her heart health, she was a little bit nervous and concerned what the results were going to yield. As it turns out, that evening she attended a simcha in the home of Rav Michal Small and his Rebbetzin. Rabbi Small was a nephew of Rav Moshe Feinstein. And as they were enjoying the simcha, Rav Moshe called on the phone to wish Mazel Tov. After the Mazel Tov brachas were conveyed, Mrs. Murik asked if she could please have the telephone and ask Rav Moshe for a bracha for her health. And Rav Moshe told her that you're justified in being concerned. But the truth is that in the zechus of your children, you have nothing to worry about. Ube'ezras Hashem es vet zayin good. It'll be good. And he explained that when I said your children, I meant your talmidos that need you so much. We are also concerned, perhaps as much as ever, but in our dual roles as parents and mechanchim, if we are committed to the hatzlacha of those that need us, which is our children, be'ezras Hashem, es vet zayin good. When I was first hired as a Rebbe to teach in 8th grade, the Menayel of the school, Rabbi David Mykoff, currently of Lakewood, New Jersey, told me a very interesting insight that he gleaned from his decades of experience in chinuch. He said that as I see it, every 6 years, the whole chinuch system has to be revisited and usually revised. This is what he told me in the 1990s. Today, we would perhaps suggest every 6 months, the system of chinuch has to be revisited. Maybe 6 weeks. And on a bad day, maybe every 6 minutes. Because things are constantly changing and nothing is the same anymore. Let's see what they used to worry about over 6 years ago and how they dealt with it. Let's see what concerned Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu was told that his wife Sarah is going to bear him a child. And Avram Avinu's reaction is, Lu Yishmael Yichya Lefanecha. And the simple pshat, as Rashi says, is Halavai Yishmael should live. Who says I deserve such great reward as having another child? The Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh, however, has a different spin on this pasuk, and he says like this: Yechavin b'tefillah zu, Avram Avinu meant with this tefillah that Yishmael should be a hoylech b'tzedek, that Yishmael should walk in the righteous path. And he says the reason why Avram Avinu davened this tefillah, because he already saw in Yishmael simonim loy toivim. He already saw things that he didn't like. She'al kol panim loy tiyeh rishas harasha ne'elemes me'enei atzadik. And Avram Avinu was saying that the rishus of the rasha shouldn't be hidden from the eyes of the tzaddik, magam benoi, certainly that it's my child. In other words, I don't know what Yishmael is going to do behind closed doors, as is the title of this session. Avram Avinu said, I'm afraid of what Yishmael is going to do behind closed doors. Lozeh hispalal olav sheyeh tzaddik. So he davened for Hashem, please, let my son Yishmael be a tzaddik. This is what Avram Avinu was concerned with. Having a child and being ignorant of what they're doing behind our backs. And even after the great news of the late of Yitzchak at 100 years old, this is the first thing in Avram Avinu's mind. What's going to be with Yishmael? What's going to be with the child that's doing things behind my back, that's doing things behind closed doors? What are our children doing behind closed doors? Who knows? I can only tell you my experience giving shiurim on the telephone. I don't know what breakfast cereal they were eating. I don't know when they daven shachris. I don't know what they were wearing. I don't know if they were behind a door at all or they were outside in the middle of the street. We can only guess. But what I can tell you is what our children are saying behind the closed doors of your house and in my shiurim. Because I asked my Talmidim for input. What do you think needs to be said at this convention? One Talmud said, tell them that there's too much pressure at home. Another Talmud said, tell them there's not enough pressure at home. One Talmud said, we need more structure. Another Talmud said, we need less structure. And then one Talmud said, why don't you have our parents ask us what we are feeling and respond accordingly? Talk to us and understand us. This reminds me of a Maisa with Tzvi Pesach Frank, the great Rav of Yerushalayim. Tzvi Pesach was trying to get stores that were open on Shabbos to close. And there was a certain barber shop that Tzvi Pesach targeted. And he went to this barber shop on an Erev Shabbos and he sat in the barber shop the entire Friday, all the way up to Shabbos. Until the barber, the Mechal Shabbos, turns to Tzvi Pesach and he says, Kfar Rav, what are you doing here so long? And he said, how can I explain to you of what it is to close on Shabbos if I don't understand the challenge and the nisayon of what it is? You run such a brisk business. If I wouldn't see this with my own two eyes, how could I understand and appreciate your nisayon and your challenge of closing for Shabbos? But now that I've seen it firsthand, I know what it is. So now I can speak to you about Shabbos. And he succeeded. So this is what our children want. They want to have a discussion. They want us to ask them what they're feeling. They want us to understand what they're feeling. Have that discussion. Talk to us. Understand us. But there's a second lesson that we can learn from the Avos as well. And that is that our children crave approval, especially at a time like this. And we must offer it. Torah tells us in last week's Parsha, in Parshas Toldos, Vayehav Yitzchak, it's Esav ki tzayid b'fiv. Yitzchak loved Esav, he was tzayid b'fiv. And the Targum says, Arei mitzedei haviyachal, because he ate from his hunting. Yitzchak loved Esav because he gave him to eat. Is that a reason for Yitzchak to love Esav? A Talmud of Reb Chaim Volozhiner, the Menuchu Kedusha, asked the Kasha. They say on the Arizal that he could look at a person's forehead and detect his mitzvahs and his averis. You think the Arizal was more chashav than Yitzchak Avinu? You think Yitzchak couldn't look at Esav and see what's on Esav's mind and what's in his docket? Says the Menucha v'Simcha al derech drush, but the lesson is so true. He says, that what he was eating from the hunt of Esav, it doesn't mean that Yitzchak ate from what Esav hunted. But Yitzchak was hunting Esav. He was trapping Esav with a kosher trap by eating his food. Because this way Esav would think that Yitzchak really likes him. Shlomo Levenstein in Eretz Yisrael brought a little bit of a mushal to bring this to life. It says a mashgiach goes over to a bacher in yeshiva and he says, "Where were you yesterday, second seder?" And the bacher says, "I was sick. I went to Kupat Cholim." She says, "Really? What time did you go?" He said, "I went at 5 o'clock." So the mashgiach says, "Oh, you should have a refuah shleima, but please, next time you go, tell me first, so I shouldn't have to worry." All the bachrim hear this conversation and they're laughing. Everybody knows Kupat Cholim closes before 5 o'clock. What's the mashgiach saying? And the mashgiach himself also knows Kupat Cholim closes by 5 o'clock. So someone asked him, "What are you saying that for?" And the mashgiach said, "Do I have a choice? If I would know or assume why he's really missing from yeshiva, what would I do? But as long as a bacher is trying to excuse himself and make up a baba maisa, I know he's trying to find favor in my eyes. What's more geschmack than knowing that the Rebbe loves you, that the mashgiach likes you? As long as we have that kesher, there's still hope. Even though in private he's not behaving kashura, but at least bagolui, at least out in the open, he's keeping the boundaries. And if I'm careful on the dignity of that bacher, then down the road this bacher will continue to eat kosher food and he'll wear a yarmulke. And this is what Yitzchak's chachma was. Esav, I want you to feel that I love you, Esav. I want you to know that I care about you, Esav. And Yitzchak felt by putting on this act, if we'll call it that, of having Esav truly feel his love and his concern, then maybe there's hope to save Esav. And this is what our children need. They need to be complimented. They need to be appreciated. They need that struggle that they have in these difficult times to learn or to behave for that matter. Every accomplishment that they have has to be recognized as real, and they got to be given credit for it, and the love has to come shining through. Or else, chas v'shalom, lu yishmel yichel fanecha, who knows what they're going to do behind their backs. And it's not a fake out. It's not make-believe. Rav Pam pointed out a beautiful medrash on the pasuk Nogila v'nismecha bach. The medrash says that bach is referring to the 22 oisiyos of the Aleph base. And Rav Pam explained like this. He said, "Why are we misameach on Simchas Torah? What have we done already? We learned a little bit of Torah. It's a drop in the bucket compared to what we have to do." But the answer is that every single word of Torah, even though compared to what we have to do is like learning Aleph base, but every ois, every letter is chashuv, and every letter counts. And Nagila v'nismacha bach, we embrace and we're happy and we dance with every single little letter of the Torah that we were able to learn. So it is chashuv, because as he called it, it's an oitzer nifla ad ma'od. It's an incredible treasure house of simcha that we learn even one little word of Torah. So everything does deserve praise, and everything does deserve shevach, and everything does deserve appreciation. And they want it, and they need it. And we have to give it to them. The Gemara says in Brachos that Rabbi Akiva was approached by Papas ben Yehuda. He was learning Torah barab, he was learning Torah in public. And Papas ben Yehuda asked him, "What are you doing?" And Rabbi Akiva said, "I don't have a choice." He said, "Torah is our life." And he gave him the famous mashal of the fox that's walking by the water, and he sees that the fish are scurrying about, trying to escape the nets. And the fox says, "Why don't you come with me on the dry land and you can escape the nets?" And the fish say, "You're supposed to be the smart one of the chayas. Don't you know that if in the place where we have our chiyus we can't live, certainly on the dry land where we have no chiyus at all, we're certainly not going to live." So Rabbi Akiva said, "I have to do what I'm doing." The question is, The mitzvah of learning Torah is not Yehorig Val Yavar. It's not one of the three cardinal sins. Why did Rabbi Akiva feel he had to be Ma'aseh Nefesh for this? And Reb Baruch Ber Leibovitch, the Grace of Bircha Shmuel, said that even though learning Torah is not Yehorig Val Yavar, we don't have to give our lives for learning one piece of Rashba, but for Kiyum HaTorah, for the survival of Torah, for that we have to give our life. And even Papas Ben Yehuda understood that Rabbi Akiva might want to learn, but he couldn't understand, why does it got to be barabim? Why does it got to be in public? Why do you got to do it with so many Talmidim? And Rabbi Akiva was telling him, for me, that's Kiyum HaTorah. Torah will not survive in Klal Yisrael without the Torah of the Rabbim, without the Rebbe that knows that he is the Messiah of Torah, teaching his Talmidim. And if Chas v'Shalom that's going to not exist, there will be no Torah. And that's Yehorig Val Yavar. And it's very interesting that the Gemara in Avodah Zarah tells us that Chanina ben Trajan also learned Torah b'Rabbim when it was outlawed by the Roman government. And when he was asked by Rabbi Yossi ben Kisma, what are you doing? He didn't give him this mushal with the fox and the fish. He said, Min Shamayim Yirachamu. Hashem should have Rachmanis. What did he mean by that? He knew he wasn't Rabbi Akiva. And he knew that his learning Torah with his tzibur wasn't necessarily of the same import, perhaps, as Rabbi Akiva. But Min Shamayim Yirachamu, what did he mean by that? My father-in-law, Rabbi Yoel Sperka Shlita, currently of Lakewood, explained that what perhaps what Rabbi ben Trajan was saying was, we know that the Rambam holds, some Rishonim hold, that a person is allowed to be Ma'aseh Nefesh even when it's not warranted. If you feel there's going to be a purpose and there'll be a tayelis for the tzibur, others will be nesayrer and they'll be impassioned by what you do, you're allowed to voluntarily give your life al Kiddush Hashem as well. And that's what Rabbi ben Trajan was saying, even if you're not the Rabbi Akivas of this world. But Min Hashamayim Yirachamu, I know that if I'm Ma'aseh Nefesh, it'll be an example for others of what we have to do for Torah to survive. We are living in an era right now where Kiyum HaTorah is at stake. And whether it's the Mesiras Nefesh of the Kadmoinim of Rabbi Akiva and Chanina ben Trajan, which Halavayit should never get to that, or it's the Mesiras Nefesh of going through hoops and trying to figure out how to stay in yeshiva and stay in school. This is our version of Mesiras Nefesh for Kiyum HaTorah. And our Mesiras Nefesh for Torah Barabim, for Torah to be learned as a tzibor, and certainly for whenever we can learn Torah b'yechidus. Let our children know how important it is and how proud we are of them, that they are making history. Dafka achshav, like the Rebbe said, Dafka now. They are making history and being chains in that Kiyum HaTorah, and with our chizuk, and Mitzvah Hashem, they will succeed, and we will succeed with them as well, and fulfill the pasuk of Lo Yamusha Mipicha, Umipi Zaracha, Umipi Zera Zaracha, Ad Oilam. Torah Mitzvah Hashem will always have a kiyum in Klal Yisrael.
Thank you, Rabbi Plotnik. It's now my schus to ask Rav Zev Kon Shlita, the Mordeh Asher of Yeshurun, and the Rosh Kollel of the Chesed Mishpach Kollel of Chicago, to share Divrei Chizuk.
Hello, Rabbi Isai. Let's be honest and open. It's hard to talk when you don't know who your audience is. And it's harder to talk when you don't know who your audience is and you don't know where your audience is. But let's begin. I would like to start off by saying, I would like to dance at a chasana. I would like to sit with my friends at a kiddush. I'd like to be at a shalom zachar. I haven't done any of those things since Vayakel Pekudei. And I know that some of the people I'm talking to have. I want to tell you what's going on in the Midwest. Most people have not. And I like to talk about the concept of chaverim, friends. From behind closed doors, what's happening to many people. We just made a siyum on Maseches Eruvin. The last Marsha of Maseches Eruvin is very long. The end of the Marsha speaks about why is there a concept of a Ruvi Chatzeris? Why do we need a Ruvi Chatzeris? So that a person can walk from one home to another. And he says, Dirachel Adachi Noam, B'chol Nesivoseh HaSholem. so that a person can take his kalim, his food, and go from one house to another house. Be beisol l'chotzer, l'bayis chavero, zeu b'nei shalom. V'yela shalom yoshev shalom. B'frat b'shna shalom. The Mashal says it creates shalom. Interacting with people creates shalom. Diracha adachei noam b'chol nesiva seh shalom. And he says this took place in the Shna Shalom. In the year 5376, when the Mashal printed and wrote his Svarim. I'd like to quote 3 different halachas in Shulchan Aruch regarding friends and regarding friendship. Eruvei tchumim can only be made for a dvar mitzvah. Example, to go be makabel your Rebbe, or to be makabel your friend. Being makabel your friend is a mitzvah. Siman Reish Mem Ches, if a person has to go out in a boat. Shiloh is about Shabbos. You're allowed to go for a dvar mitzvah. Lerois B'nei Chaveroi is considered a dvar mitzvah. Those are 2 dinim d'Rabbanan, which get pushed aside for a dvar mitzvah, which includes going to see your friend. In Siman Tov Kuf Lamed Vov, which is the halachas of Chol Hamoed, we all know you can't shave, take a haircut during Chol Hamoed. However, there are exceptions. One of the exceptions is if someone was away in Medina Sayyam and came back and he had no time to shave before Yontif, or he came back during Chol Hamoed itself. The halacha is he's permitted to shave if he comes back from Medina Sayyam, provided he went for a mitzvah. And what's an example, says the Magen Avram? Somebody went out to see a friend. Seeing a friend is considered a mitzvah. For Eruvei Tchumim, for Shabbos, and for Chol Hamoed. Right now, many people are feeling lachatz, pressure. Rabbi Plotnik mentioned before, children are feeling pressure. Friendships are feeling pressure. There are pressures in the Choshen Mishpat Kollel. We had shilas between landlords and tenants. People rented houses, rented apartments in Eretz Yisrael, and they couldn't get back to Eretz Yisrael. We've had shilas about schools paying tuition. Corona has created a lot of pressures. Even the pressures between segments of communities. Do you wear a mask? Don't you wear a mask? Friendships are very special. Harbe lamadati meraboisai. Yoise mechaverai. Rashiva Shlita should be zeichel before Shlema b'say shachal Yisrael. Used to make Bochum leave Long Beach, even though they wanted to stay. He said, now it came the time of Harbe lamadati meraboisai. I learned a lot from my Rebbeim, but Yoise mechaverai. I learned more from my friends. She would say it's time to go to Lakewood. But I'd like to say, what can we do about this concept? Bez Hashem Yisbarach, we're going to get out of this matzav. Soon, Bez Hashem. Well, what should we do about the lachatz and the feelings and the people who have come, so to speak, behind closed doors to speak about all their different situations with friends or other community members? We daven Shemon Esrei 22 times a week. Tefillah 22 times a week, 3 times a day, 4 times on Shabbos. I'd like to tell you my favorite tefillah of the week. My favorite tefillah of the week is L'cha Doidi. It happened, I don't know how many years ago, 5, 6, 7 years ago. I have a chavrusa, we're learning Shir HaShirim together. Ani l'doidi v'doidi li. I started thinking about the words L'cha Doidi. Every Friday night, every Leil Shabbos. I know there are women listening, and most of you don't have the opportunity to go to shul on Leil Shabbos. We sing a song, L'cha Doidi. What does Doidi mean? Who are we referring to? L'cha, come. Doidi, my friend. Who's my friend? It means HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What an awesome thought. L'cha doidi. I can say, come my friend. That's why I can talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. L'cha doidi. Let us go, likras kal. To meet the kal. To meet Shabbos. What an awesome opportunity. Elu. Everybody knows. Elu. Ani l'doidi v'doidi li. What does it mean? Ani l'doidi v'doidi li. Hashem is my friend. There's a relationship of friendship to HaKadosh Baruch Hu besides Avinu Malkeinu. There's also doidi. Hashem is my friend. Now what happens in the friendship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu when we don't behave so well? What happens? The friendship is maintained. The friendship stays. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is always our friend. First time I heard this was from Ramatas Yo, Shlita, Mashgiach of Lakewood, the pasuk in Balak, when Bilam says, "Usruas melech boy." My whole Shabbos Shuvah drasha this past Yom Narayim was on this pasuk, "Usruas melech boy." The word "srua," what does the word "srua" mean? It means a chua, it means a blast of a horn, it means a scream, and it means a friend. Usruas melech boy. Bilam realized that we have a friendship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rabbi said there's been a lot of lachats. A lot of lachats. When there's lachats, lachats can lead to lashon hara. Lachats can lead, chas v'shalom, to sinna. Lachats can lead to dissolving of relationships, chas v'shalom. We can't let it happen. As I said earlier, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Right now it's our job to think. I use this mashal very often. When you make a lot of deposits, you can afford to make a withdrawal. We've made a lot of deposits in the relationships that we have. A lot of deposits. With the friends that we have. With the chaverim that we have. There's a pasuk in Mishlei. Yud Beis. V'al kol pshoyim techaseh ha'avo. When there's avo, they can cover up the pshoyim. Also referring to the relationship between ourselves and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as the Goyin explains in Mishlei. But the Pashup Shad also is in a relationship. When there's ahava, so sometimes the things that can cause and create tension between us can be covered up, can dissipate, can disappear. And we have to make sure that we allow that to happen. We have to make sure that we don't allow relationships to disappear. We may be upset right now. We may be angry right now. We may have tinnitus right now. And we may be right. But don't let it affect in a permanent way that the relationship should disappear. They're too important. They're too important. We need chaverim. It creates shalom, says the Marshal. It allows for iruvei tchumim, says the Machaber. It allows for shaving, which according to some Rishonim is an issa daraisa on chalamoid. Ani l'doidi v'doidi li. Hashem is our friend under all circumstances. We should be able to try to make sure that we don't lose those incredible things, those incredible friends, those incredible relationships. And it's hard. We don't have the means to strengthen the relationships like we normally do. We don't have the simchas the way we normally do. But we have the ability, we have the wherewithal, and we have the lesson of the best friendship that we have. That's ani l'doidi v'doidi li. We should all be zeicha to be matzliach. And do not allow the tension and the lachatz to destroy the beautiful relationships that we have built. And when we maintain those relationships, we have those relationships, chaverim kol Yisrael, then we are unstoppable. Unstoppable. When we are together, we are unstoppable. That's the bracha. We should take all the relationships we have and put them together, enabling us to put Corona behind us, to put Simchas in front of us, and then be able to be on the Madrega, Habe Lamarti Rabbeisai, B'yoser Mechavere. Hatzlocha, Ravo, the next convention, Bez Hashem Yisbarach, should be in Yerushalayim. And Chas v'Sholom, if it's not, at least we should all be in the same room together. Kol Tov Rabbeisai.
Thank you, Rabbi Cohen. I want to thank the National Aguda for the opportunity to speak tonight, and hopefully my words will have an impact and be meaningful. A year ago in Elul, I had the schus to go to Eretz Yisrael, and when I was in Eretz Yisrael, I visited many Gedolim. One of the Gedolim I visited in Eretz Yisrael was Rav Gamliel Rabinovich Shlita. After our visit, we spoke together for about 45 minutes. I was there with some Balabatim from the shul. He brought us into the kitchen to show off the chesed of his wife. She was sitting there preparing pools full of chopped liver, of coleslaw, and other Shabbos food that she was planning on giving to the Aniyim in Yerushalayim. While we were there, we spoke to her a little bit, and I asked her for insight, how to build a beautiful Jewish family. And she answered, Ein davar ha'oime b'fnei haratzon. There's nothing that gets in the way of a true desire to build a beautiful family. And she shared a story about a different family. And she claimed her friend, every single one of her children, every single one of her grandchildren, were either massive Talmidei Chachamim, Rosh Kollel, Rosh Yeshiva, Magidei Shir, or were married to big Talmidei Chachamim. I read a very similar story. A woman that had a beautiful family. And someone asked her, how are you Zoicha? How did you merit to have such a beautiful family? And she answered, I wanted a beautiful family. And the questioner asked her, but I also want a beautiful family. And she answered back, I only want a beautiful family. Acha shavalti. Honestly, this is what we all want. We all want to build beautiful, strong, and healthy mishpachos. Unfortunately, our families have become upended by everything that's been happening in the world around us. A simple question. Ma Hashem Elokeinu shoel mi'imanu. What does Hashem want from us with everything that's happening? And a simple answer is there's a lot of movements and phrases and words that are popular in the world around us. Some of them may be distortions, some of them may be truths. But if they are prominent and they're in our face, we have to learn lessons from them. And one word you hear a lot nowadays is the word woke. What does the word woke mean? Look in Webster Dictionary. Webster says to be aware and actively attentive to important facts and issues. Well, that's what Hashem wants from us. He wants us to be woke. Uru Yisheni Mishinaschem is not just for the Yom HaNorayim. This entire process was to awaken us, to be aware and attentive to important facts and issues. And what is that? Well, honestly, we have a Messiah. Where we're hit hardest is where Hashem wants us to focus. Yes, every element of our life is suffering. But the experts say the most acute pain, the most acute impact of everything we've been going against has been on the family unit. Ein bayis she'ein boy, shalom bayis issues. She'ein boy, financial issues, ruchnius issues, chinuch issues. It's rampant. It's a challenge. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to focus in on our families, to strengthen our families, and to build our families. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from us. But honestly, COVID's been a distraction. There's so many other things that are threatening us. Anti-Semitism, political fire. anti-Torah values that are coming from every direction. Our mishpachos, the foundation of the present and the future of Klal Yisrael, are being threatened, and therefore our families need chizuk. I would like to share 2 points of encouragement, and then to share some brief eitzos and insights, what we could do to strengthen our families, and to give them the wherewithal to weather the elements that are coming against us. First of all, we have to manage our expectations. Frustration is unmet expectations. It's hard for all of us. Don't expect too much from yourself. HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows what we're going through. One of my favorite stories that Dr. David Lieberman tells is that one time he was sitting with a couple in therapy, and they were complaining, how come our family can't be like the Shapiro family? Their shalom bayis is perfect, their children is perfect, their vacations are perfect, their home is perfect. And Dr. Lieberman said he was only hoping and wishing there weren't HIPAA laws that demanded of him not to share the fact that his next clients were the Shapiros themselves. Every single one of us behind closed doors are struggling. We all need chizuk, and you have to manage your expectations to know what's realistic during these times. Second of all, you need to understand that Hashem is proud of us, and all the efforts we are making are appreciated by the Kosh Baruch Hu himself. Right after Pesach, I was at a 10-person chasana. I was sitting next to the chassan at the chassan's tish, and the photographer came over and said, "Smile," and I smiled big, and we took a picture together. The chassan was not wearing a mask. I was wearing a mask, and I thought afterwards, isn't that interesting? Why am I smiling? I'm wearing a mask. But then I realized afterwards a very powerful message. We know that world history is divided between periods of ha'aras panim and hester panim, times that Kiviyachal Kodesh Baruch Hu's face is hidden from us. But just like I was smiling behind the mask, I came to realize that even during periods of hester panim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu could be smiling at us. This is certainly a period of hester panim, but we have to believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is smiling at us. The chesed that's being done, the Mesiras Nefesh that's being done, the Amelus HaKlal that just Messiah Erevin, through Shabbos and Erevin during this Tkufa, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is smiling and realize that he's very proud of us. But in terms of practical tips, I'd like to share the following idea. The pasuk says, Ki ha'adam eitz hasada. We know the Bali Musar say that people are compared to trees. But we also know that families are compared to trees. In English, they're compared to trees, the basic idea of a family tree. And in Chazal, they're compared to trees. The Elon bama avarechacha. So we have to learn the lesson of the trees. Let's first focus. What does one need to do to nourish and to enable a tree to flourish and to grow healthy? First of all, you need to have sun. Second of all, you need to have healthy soil. And third of all, you have to have abundant water. And that's a message for us as well, to enable and to be able to help our families grow and to develop and to be healthy. First of all, you have to have sun. You have to have warmth and positive energy in the home. Second of all, you have to have healthy soil. Healthy soil is a healthy environment of respect and positive midos in your home. And then finally, you need abundant water. Ein mayim ela Torah. You have to have limud Torah and shmir of Torah mitzvahs in your home. And those are some of the basic things that we need to enable our families to grow like a tree and to flourish and to become great and reach great heights. But today I just want to focus the last few minutes we have together more on what helps us weather the elements that can fell those trees. Because that's what we're facing right now. Right now it's hard to build higher, but how do we stay strong throughout this storm? This past summer, I learned a new word. The word is derecha. What is a derecha? We had one in Chicago. It was not a hurricane, it was not a tornado. It was a massive storm, and that type of storm is called a derecha. That winds come in at 80, 90, 100 miles per hour. 20 minutes straight, direct, sharp winds. And after the storm passed, it literally looked in our neighborhood like a war zone. Rabbi Cohen's shul had damage from trees. My shul had damage from trees. There was a large park in our neighborhood that had hundreds of trees, massive trees, 20, 30, 40, 50 feet tall, that dozens and dozens of them were felled to the ground. And I noticed something afterwards that was very interesting to me. Some of the trees fell down, some of the massive branches fell down, and some of them are still standing strong. What was the secret of the trees that were able to stand and the trees that were not able to stand? And I saw the following three things. First of all, certain trees that I saw fell down were hollow on the inside. They looked very strong on the outside, but they were hollow on the inside. The second thing I saw is that certain trees were very firm, and the firm trees snapped in half. It's actually a Rashi in Chumash. How are there any trees and vegetation that was still out there after Makas Bara when it came pounding down on the vegetation of the world? And we know that the trees and the vegetation that were soft and flexible were not damaged, but the ones that were firm and strong, those got snapped. That's the reason why HaKadosh Baruch Hu in his ultimate wisdom put palm trees in the tropical areas. When the hurricanes come through, they just bend over, but they swing right back afterwards. And so too in this storm, the firm trees snapped, but the flexible ones did not. And then finally, there were these massive trees that fell over. But every single one that I saw fell over had very, very shallow roots. And I think we can learn the same exact lessons for families, for our families to be strong. First of all, we have to realize that just like the luchos, mizeh umizeh, the words went through and through. We have to train our families to be authentic and to be genuine. We have to train our families to have good midos through and through, in public and in private. Honesty and integrity under all circumstances. Make sure it's not just a facade of who we are, but genuinely we're committed to Torah and mitzvahs that will enable our families to be strong. Second of all, we have to ensure that we have deep roots. The deep roots means that we have deep roots in emunah and bitachon. And we have to train and educate our family in emunah and bitachon. Spend time with the mishpacha, learning living emunah, learning chovos halavav shara bitachon. Ha'emanti ki adaber, the more you talk to your family about the roots of laying a firm foundation of your family in emunah bitachon, the more you're going to be able to stand strong. And finally, you have to be flexible. Flexible can mean, in terms of the influences that are coming from around us, in terms of the challenges that are pounding us from all directions. Don't take everything so seriously. Allow yourself to bend away. Don't engage in every single conversation. And certainly when it comes to interpersonal relationships, you have to be flexible. You cannot be makbid. You can't always stand on your rights. You have to be mevater. And these are the things that enable us that despite what comes our way, whatever emunah challenges come our way, whichever challenges of values come our way, we're going to grow strong with our healthy soil and the sun and the water. But we'll also withstand the storms and the derechos that come our way to ensure that we're going to be rock solid, not have any worries. This is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from us, to have strong families. We have to ask ourselves some serious questions. Which part of our old life, pre-COVID, do we not want to go back to? Which part of our new life during COVID do we want to hold on to? And to utilize that to not just be strong and to grow. In conclusion, we've been there before and we've done this before. Hanukkah's around the corner. There's something unique about the story of Hanukkah. It's the only story in Jewish history that the heroes were a mishpacha, were a family. We have stories of individuals that are heroes. We have stories of armies and Gans Klal Yisrael that are heroes. But a story of a family being heroes, where did it come from? It's very simple. In the story of Hanukkah, the Yevanim attacked the Kedusha of Klal Yisrael's mishpachas. And therefore we fought back with our families. And the yontiv that we have after the Nisim and the flows that we experience is a yontiv of mishpachas of Klal Yisrael, Ner Yishu Beisai. We did it then, and we could do it now. Our families are under attack, but we could fight back with our families. We can regain Kedushas Yisrael. We could be strong in emunah bitachon. We could grow in shmir and Torah mitzvahs. And Be'ez Hashem, if we do that, by Yomim Mahim Bazman Hazeh, we'll be Zeicha Be'ez Hashem to Nisim and Niflos once again. Kol Tov.
A single candle can't illuminate rooms on its own. So too, each of us cannot achieve our potential all alone. We must look past our differences. Diversity is strength. The walls that stand divide us and have caused this exile's length. As pieces of a puzzle that connect into one whole, together we're an image of one nation and one soul. Tonight, look past the surface as we finally unite. There is no obstacle too great, no wrong we cannot right together.
to fade. Through twists and turns of buried dreams and dimming foggy haze, we try to find its mighty source, its origin, its home. But never will we feel its warmth if we each search alone. Together, united, ignited, as bright as the sun, forever, forever. When we join together, forever as one. Together, Aguda Achas, we can proudly proclaim forever, forever. Lasois Ritzaincha, the Leib of Shalem. Though people may not think alike and often disagree, our nation has one Torah, we share its legacy. And when we stand united, sparks dancing as one flame, we become the treasured nation that glorifies His name. Together, united, ignited, as bright as the sun, forever, forever. When we join together, forever as one. Together, Aguda Achas, we can proudly proclaim forever, forever. Lasois Ritzaincha, Leib of Shalem. Together.
Let us stay together, dream together, work together, expand our horizons together, plant Torah seeds together, so that, Be'ezus Hashem, together we will reap a bountiful harvest of achieving that what Ribono Shel Olam expects of Klal Yisrael.
Forever, forever. Lasois Ritzaincha, Leib of Shalem. Together, united, ignited, as bright as the sun. Forever, forever. When we join together, forever as one. Together.
Okay, Michael, I know you're not Jewish, but just do the best you can with the pronunciation and read off the teleprompter the way it's written. Okay, now remember, you got to fit all the vital programs and initiatives of Agudas Yisrael, including all the important facts and figures.
Yep,
And
got
it's
it.
gotta fit into less than 3 minutes.
What?
Yeah, 3 minutes.
It's impossible.
Okay, here, we're on the clock here, people. Let's go. Sound speed. Speed. All right, Slate. Okay, and
No, that's impossible. You can't fit.
action!
Agudas Yisrael of America. Since 1922, the Aguda has stayed true to its key goals, including strengthening Jewish communities, religious education, Torah learning, government and legal advocacy, comprehensive community-based social services, and inspiring Jewish youth. The Torah Project Commission and Daf Yomi program ensures the Torah foundation of our nation stays strong by increasing the level of Torah study by all segments of the adult population. Examples include Daf Yomi, the largest Torah learning program in the world, now the flagship learning system that inspired over 92,000 participants at the most recent Siyum Hashas at MetLife Stadium. 1,400 women participate in the Aguda Summer of Torah, and lots of other things. On to youth services. So much to say and so little time. The Aguda sponsors its highly successful Pirkei and Benos youth movements and numerous summer camps which impact tens of thousands of Jewish boys and girls with spiritually enriching programming throughout the year. Over 20,000 members in the youth groups and over 7,000 campers in the summer enjoy these flourishing programs. Additionally, Benos One-on-One offers personalized mentorship in 11 communities with over 800 pairs of matched big and little sisters.
Next topic.
Let's talk about leadership, quickly. So, leadership comes in many forms. There's the Moetzes Gedolei HaTorah. Our revered rabbinic leaders provide our guidance, preserve Masorah. The Aguda's Conference of Synagogue Rabbanim ensures that community leaders, the Rabbanim, the backbone of every Jewish community, have an organized mechanism for adracha and for unity.
Advocacy.
Let's turn our focus to government advocacy, a key hallmark of the vital work of Agudas Yisroel. They work and lobby for our needs on levels regional, state, and federal. Aguda's National Office of Government Affairs works tirelessly to be sure the world cares. They protect religious rights and civil liberties, standing by religious schools and their parent bodies, commenting on contemporary social, moral, and family issues needing much discretion, and international assistance for Jews in Israel or lands of oppression. Thanks to the Office of State Relations, major accomplishments alleviate potential huge frustrations. Take a quick example from each office specifically to get a feel for what is done so swiftly and terrifically. Illinois, over 1,700 meals served each day. Mid-Atlantic region, 700 day school scholarships in play. Ohio, 5 million in scholarships thanks to the vouchers been discussing. New Jersey, now 10,000 private school kids have busing. In California, religious freedom's got a lot of attention. Florida, a school choice rally to promote its expansion. Washington, D.C., here they protect Israel's security, ensure our rights and freedoms are upheld with unadulterated purity. Constituent services of Agudas Yisroel means they work for Klal Yisroel and for Reb Yisroel. Individuals' needs are always high on the list, religious, medical, or legal. What else here have I missed? Government assistance, educational referrals, keeping Shabbos in the workplace in our ever-pressured worlds. Senior citizens programs create centers with a mission, structured social time, hot lunches always packed with nutrition. Jewish seniors by the hundreds have convened and congregated, feel fulfilled and socialized so they're never isolated. When a loved one reaches end-of-life decisions needed, means there's no passivity, Chaim Aruchim gives the halachic guidance needed with true sensitivity. Treatments that may have been delayed or just denied can be granted with the funding and advocacy that's supplied.
It's fine, just keep going.
14,000 students thrive in Project Learn. They get special education tailor-made for what they yearn. Yeshiva services means Aguda helps so many schools navigate the ever-changing government regulations and rules. So much red tape and detail work, all part of their bureaucracy. Baruch Hashem, Aguda knows just how to work in our democracy. At Pesach time, there are Jews overseas who don't have any matzah, wine, or other basic Seder needs. If you need to find a job but don't have great qualifications, PCS and COPE can train and place you now in corporations. Isn't it incredible how much Aguda does for every Jew? You never knew how vital every single program was for you. So join with the Aguda, become a member, do it fast. You'll be the voice of our tomorrow as your link to our great past. Whew.
Okay, cut. All right, wasn't bad. Let's just take it again from the top, and this time a little faster, please.
What?
I lift my bow to play, but the melody just fades away. A tune can't come together on its own. Joined by flute so sweet, the horns give strength, drums that beat. Music isn't meant to stand alone. Challenge comes my way, but the resolution's far away. I can't solve this problem on my own. Now a movement stands alongside me to hold my hand, accomplishing what I can't do alone. We all band in unity, all our voices blend exquisitely, moving the world with harmony. Stand as one community, common goals join us in a movement in time. We're a movement in time, and the time has come to join as one. Our movement moves mountains once too high. We're a movement in time, and the time has come for everyone to join us in a movement in time.
Agudas Yisrael was formed by the Gedolei Yisrael to deal with the challenges of that time, but also to deal with the challenges of this time and the next time, because the challenges always change. But what remains constant is that in order effectively to deal with them, we need a guf tziburi, a koach harabim, headed by the Gedolei Yisrael. It makes it important and imperative for each and every one of us to be part of that guf tziburi, to be part of that koach harabim, thereby effectuate the vision of the Gedolei Yisrael who established this as a movement in time.
So lift your bows and play, let the music carry us away, raising us to heights we've never known. Stand up on your feet, scale each mountain to the beat. Klal Yisrael must not act alone. When challenge comes our way, together we won't be afraid. Agudo Achas, never on our own. Now a movement stands, strength in numbers, time we span, accomplishing what one can't do alone. We all band in unity, all our voices blend exquisitely, moving the world with harmony. Stand as one community, common goals bring